Hey, kia ora, Helen Brahms coming to you live. I apologize for doing this 3 hours earlier than I normally do, but at 8 o'clock tonight, I will not be able to do my Facebook Live. I'll tell you why in a moment. But first, day 41 of my great adventure. Oops, getting text message now from my mother. Oh, hopefully I've been a good girl. Okay, so just turn the phone off. Where was I? Day 41, yes. So I stepped out of my comfort zone today and tried something new. I had joined a meetup group months ago for widows and widowers in San Diego, and have put off going to meetings, going to the meetups, and most of them were just out for dinner, going to movies, going to museums, that sort of stuff. And for some reason, when I was looking at the information last week, I saw this one for today where on Tuesdays in San Diego, they have free admittance to museums and art galleries and that sort of thing for San Diego residents. And they have different museums and galleries open each Tuesday. So it's not always the same one. It's not all of them at one time. It's only like about 3 or 4 of them. And so they were going to the Museum of Photographic Art is where we met. Got to meet 4 lovely ladies. One of them had lost her husband just in January of this year, completely unexpected and while on a cruise. So I was sort of like, oh my gosh. And I said, where were you on your cruise? And she says, Bangkok. And I'm like, oh, but everything worked out for them. They were able to get his body home, and everything was all taken care of and all that sort of stuff. But, stepping out of the comfort zone and going and meeting other people who had lost loved ones, that was something that I have put off doing basically since Brad passed. I would not do grief counseling groups. I did one-on-one counseling with the counselor I was working with, who I actually started working with this counselor when Brad first went into hospital. And then I worked with her all through Brad's hospital stay, through his passing, till June of last year. Haven't been to a counselor since then. Have not joined any grief counseling groups, have not been to any widowers activities or anything. So this was something completely new for me. We had a blast. We went to the Museum of Photographic Art, which was kind of interesting. There were some interesting photos there, and the photographic art is they take these pictures. Some of them are just straight pictures. Some of them have been digitally added to, that sort of thing. There were some interesting displays on. There were some that were really strange, but there were some really good ones there too. And then from there we went to the San Diego History Museum, which was really interesting on different things that have happened over the last few years. And did you know that this year San Diego is celebrating 250 years? So that I didn't know. So learned some of the history about San Diego. They had a big LBGQT, did I get all the letters? A huge exhibit there on that, and seeing from all the things that had happened over the years in San Diego regarding the community. It was a really eye-opening one. It was very moving. Thoroughly enjoyed it. We spent a lot of time in that one. Then we went to the Botanical Gardens, which is we went to the building of the Botanical Gardens and just walked around there. It was, compared to some of the garden buildings I've been into, this one was kind of plain, but it was still good because I always like going to the botanical gardens and things because they're taking care of the plants and not me. If it was me, they'd be dead. It's as simple as that. So then we went across to the Naval Hospital, which is there in Balboa Park, and there's an old chapel building, an old chapel there, which they converted into a Veterans Memorial and Museum. And they had a free day today as well. And so we went in there, and it was good. They had a room on the Korean War. They had a room on the history of the naval presence there in Balboa Park. They had an exhibit on the Vietnam War. They had this big auditorium area, which is basically in the body of what was the chapel, where they had all chairs and stuff lined up for people to come in and speak and all of that. And as I walked into this area, this Doberman came up to me and leaned against me and just stood there. And it turned out there were 3 therapy dogs there. They were all Dobermans. They were beautiful dogs. And this one, his name I later found out was Archie, bypassed all the other people that were in the room and came straight to me and just leaned up against me. And I heard somebody say that they were therapy dogs. And I kind of lost it a little bit there. God, I'm going to do it again. But it was comforting to know that this dog sensed that I needed his presence, and he just stayed there leaning very heavily against me. He wasn't much shorter than what Gus was. His head was probably the top of Gus's shoulder, but I was able to reach him just with him standing there next to me, leaning up against me, and I probably was with him for about 10-15 minutes. And then I thanked the dog for coming over and saying thank you for that. I needed that today, and thank you. And then he went back over to where his owners were. And then later on, I was walking around the displays around the edge of the auditorium area, and was over there talking with the dog owners about their therapy dogs, and they use them in the hospital, especially with the wounded warriors and stuff like that. And found out this one's name was Archie, and told him how he had come over to me. And I said, this is what's happened. This is why I have ups and downs in September. And then the woman said to Archie, said, go find. And that meant to go find somebody to be scratched by, to be, to give comfort and support to. And he went from where she was, went around behind her and came back over to me and leaned up against my leg and stood there. He was happy, and I was just like, I'm happy to take you with me. He was the sweetest dog. And they were, like I said, they were all Dobermans, and they were so sweet. The other 2 didn't want anything to do with me, but Archie, he basically glued himself to my side. And I said, he leans very heavily. And they go, yeah, he does. He likes to lean because then he can figure out when you're going to move. And if he figures that you need him longer, if he senses you need him longer, he's actually going to stay with you. But if you step away and he senses that you're done, he will go find somebody else to attach to. And I thought, well, that's good to know. So that was kind of cool. And then from there, we went and sat and had lunch and talked a little bit about some of the things that we have in common and that sort of thing, and talked more about the open days that they have at the museums within the Balboa Park area, and like where you can go to find out which one's going to be open on which Tuesday. So it's every Tuesday except when the month has 5 Tuesdays. It's only the first 4 Tuesdays that they do this. Yes, gotta love Archie. Thank you, Diane. Yes, Archie he was beautiful, and he had the black face with the little light tan eyebrows like Gus used to have too. So that was kind of cute. And I was telling them about how Gus had these big blonde eyebrows and how you couldn't see his eyes, but you could see the eyebrows going up and down if you were talking, depending. And Brad and I purposely used to sit on either side of Gus and talk to him, and his eyebrows would go up and down depending who was talking. It was absolutely, it kept us entertained for ages. But overall, it was really good. I was glad that I did it. I even thought it this morning when I woke up, thought, I'm not going to go. And I was actually trying to talk myself out of it. But I got there in plenty of time, got there early, met up with these amazing women, and we ended up having a really, really good day. We walked 2.5, hang on. I will tell you how far we walked today. We walked, because I had a look as soon as I got home, 2.5 miles we walked today around Balboa Park and the museums and things. So it was interesting. So I'm curious to go back and have a look at some of the other museums on their free days as well. But overall, it was a really good day. And now I have just finished writing a short blog, and I have my copies printed off, because the reason I can't do my live at 8 o'clock tonight is because I am about to leave and head off to my writers group who are meeting tonight, so they can critique my blog. It's only 1 page. So they can critique my blog, because I'm blogging now about our road trip and the lessons that I learned along the road trip. So I've done some Facebook Lives on this, so now I'm going back and doing the writings of it to go with the Facebook Lives, and we'll get those posted. So yeah, quickly type that up, and they're going to get told it's a rough draft. I expect to come home and have lots of comments and red pen marks all over this thing by the time I get home tonight. So that's why I'm doing this early, is because I'm off to my writers group on Tuesdays. And let's see, what do I love? Archie, laughter from Janine, doing great, Helen, looking good too. Thank you, Margaret. I'm in desperate need of a haircut. Can you see? This is getting thankfully I'm booked in on Thursday for a haircut, so this will look a lot better on Thursday. And hey, Casey, kia ora. Great to see you online. So yes, so I am now off to my writers group. I have to go because I'm going to be late if I don't leave now. We'll catch you guys tomorrow night. Have a super fantastic sparkling day, and until tomorrow, he konera.